I'd like to welcome Michael Markham, Senior Director of Autonomous Vehicles at Bastion Solutions as Toyota Company. Today, he'll be exploring the role of system integrators in driving the adoption of AGVs and AMRs. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Thank you. Look forward to sharing some information with you and hopefully fielding some questions and helping you on this journey that I know is quite ominous at times, especially if you're new to this journey. And I'm sure people are all different spectrums of taking this journey together. So I want to share some information with you that I think should help on this journey. And today, these are some of the topics that sorry, hopefully this is better. Can you see the screen hopefully there? But the topics we want to look at today is, why do you even want to use mobile robots or AGVs, AMRs in your application? And if you're going in that direction, here's some really helpful tips along that way. Predicting your ending as early as you can from the beginning of a plan. Leveraging system experts as integrators of that project or those products in a system-oriented focus, and then scaling these systems, understanding that you might start small, and as you scale, those can be very challenging, difficult things to get through. And most importantly, I'm going to close with making sure that you know how to stay in charge and protect your business as you potentially open these new technologies into your business area. So I'm going to continue on from there and go straight into, why do you even want to use mobile robots? I think this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Some people have already answered it. Different people are different journeys along that pathway. But overall, your business typically needs more flexibility to absorb market changes. And mobile robots definitely give you that. It gives you that in incredible flexibility. You can do so many things and adapt very quickly. You can even move from site to site. You can change the size of a fleet in one facility, expand it in a different one, reduce it in another one. You can change the routing. You can change layouts. You can do a lot of things that fixed automation doesn't give you the ability to do. So mobile robots are very flexible. It's easier to expand that footprint or to reduce a footprint when you have this type of flexibility in your mobile robot fleet. There's also the potential that you're going to ease hiring pressures and costs that you may be feeling. Like you think, well, I'll just go out and buy industrial equipment. I'll buy forklifts and tuggers, and I'll put people on them, and they'll move my products around in my warehouse or in my factory. But you may be finding that it's really difficult to hire the people, especially people that are trained. Then you have all the safety risks and costs that can come associated with that. And then, bringing them into your business also may reduce material movement cost. Will actually totally lower the cost of the wasted movement that you typically have in your facility. We're seeing in market trends that the workforce pool is shrinking. So that's one of the reasons it is difficult to go out and hire. Larger warehouses are happening, and that's increasing a lot of wasted travel time. So where you can automate that travel time may be a real benefit to your business. You have costly forklift accidents and damages. This is a very common thing in the industry. Bastion Solutions is part of the Toyota group of companies, and we have a real strong vision for bringing automated solutions to the market. And as a forklift company, we're the world's largest manufacturer and supplier of forklifts in the world. We see the cost of forklift accidents and damage. We see it all the time. And we know what that impact is to our customers. So we're not only trying to make our manual forklifts safer and better, but we're also looking for automated solutions, and mobile robots are key to that. And then, of course, the whole idea that we could protect people better, reduce injuries. If you've ever seen forklift drivers driving heavy loads that are large and in front of them, you notice that they have to drive backwards. So they're always looking behind. And if you spend hours a day looking with your head turned in that direction, we see lots of neck and back injuries from this. So I'm just mentioning a few reasons why you may want to move mobile robots into your facility, and you may want to scale that over time. And these are some of the reasons that we're seeing the market is trending in that direction, and customers are looking for these solutions for that reason. However, make sure that you really get when you start to pull a plan together, try to predict where you want to end early on in that process. Don't wait to get halfway down the road and then realize, oh, I should have thought about this, or I should have thought about that. Certainly, you want to quantify your current need. This bit obvious things like, what materials do I want to move in my operations, in my facilities? You want to quantify, how do I want to move information? And in the Toyota way of thinking, we really value moving information before we move material. So the movement of information has everything to do with how efficient and safe and predictable the movement of your material can be. So that's something that you can predict early that you want to plan for, and you would want to work with a potential integrator as you're learning and gaining experience with your own systems. Move exactly what you need to move when you need to move it. Try not to get into moving things that don't need to be moved until they do need to be moved, and try to optimize that flow. And a systems integrator can certainly help you with that. There's a lot of software packages out there that run really complex algorithms to help optimize how material flows and moves in your facility. And also, you want to limit mistakes and rework. Try again to be proactive. Don't try to just simply get into a reactive state, but be proactive. Try to predict potential mistakes, limit those early on, and try to limit rework. Then try to get predictive, like get visionary. Think about your future. What might I expand my facilities to do? Might I move locations? Could I potentially have a customer that cancels a contract and I need to potentially move locations because I get a new contract with a different customer, or I need to either downsize or upsize the facility that I currently have? Try to be as predictive as you can, and that will help you in planning how mobile robots may be able to help you. And you may find that mobile robots is helping you dramatically in that area, because then you'll have more flexibility. You'll be able to make changes more quickly without such a financial disruption to your business. Data analytics of material movements. Try to look at what your current data tells you. How might you be able to eliminate some waste in that? And again, your mobile robot system may be able to play a key role in getting you there. Gaining new contracts with new customers, because that creates layout changes, but you may actually be able to entice new business because you're using a mobile or a flexible platform, which would allow you to start small, maybe do something at low volume for a customer, and then grow that volume over time because you can continue to scale up the system. And a small, low volume system in a large, complex conveyor automated system doesn't make sense. You're slowing the whole system down when it's capable of doing much more. But a mobile robot system, you could have a small system that's capable of doing those small ones and at low volume. And then as volume increases, you increase the number of vehicles in the fleet, you expand the layout, and you can do more. So this is, again, really important to be able to predict where that might go. It might even need to get smaller. And that's where mobile robots, again, can help you downsize as much as it can help you upsize. IT security and infrastructure enhancements. What might you need to do to be able to do this? Could it potentially mean that your facility needs to add more access points? Might you need more wireless coverage because mobile robots can't be physically connected to your network? So these are all things you need to predict early on. And ultimately, you have to always stay in the driver's seat as you're the expert of your business. And you need to think long term about your business to understand where you're starting and where you want to go. And this step will take time early and upfront, but taking the time early on will save you money in the long run. So we highly encourage this. So now, as we segue, is why do I need a systems integrator? How can they help me? I think especially early on, they can help you tremendously. But even in a long-term proposition, there are a lot of upsides or values that a systems integrator can bring to you. One of the first things they can help you with is they become a single owner of the successes system. So you don't get into, well, this contractor's telling me it's not their fault, it's contractor A's fault. Contractor A says it's not my fault, it's contractor B. Contractor B says it's not my fault, it's contractor C. And now you're stuck trying to figure out whose fault it is. When you go to a systems integrator, you have that one single point of ownership of that success or failure of a system. and you can let them drive it to the end goal of success. And I'm going to pause and say there is no single systems integrator that will be successful every day, all the time, in every project. Every systems integrator will have failures. But when you're looking for a good one, you want to find one who knows how to own their failures and recover from those failures. Figure out what went wrong and make it right. All of us are capable of mistakes. It's how we deal with our mistakes and recover from those that really separate those who are highly successful and those who are not. And the same is true with systems integrator. Look for those who aren't perfect, but will find a way to get the right thing working the right way in your application. And they will stay with you until it's done and done right. Also, a systems integrator needs to be one who gets to know your business. And that way, as they begin to know your business, they can get a deep knowledge of what you need and pair that with their deep knowledge of the technologies that best fit that need. It's one of the biggest reasons that Toyota went out and acquired companies like Bastian Solutions and Vanderlande and ViaStore, is because we wanted that expertise, but we also know those were project-oriented companies. And projects are what you're really dealing with here with a systems integrator. A great systems integrator will know how to run the project and understand that the project has a beginning, a middle, and the end, and all the things that it takes to get it through that life cycle. It's not just a single product, it's a series of products. It could be a combination of all kinds of things that bring the solution to bear, but driving that project from beginning to end is a value that the systems integrator can bring you. A systems integrator can help you avoid pitfalls. They can give you lessons learned, things that they've learned the hard way. They also can allow you to scale your systems in a standardized manner across your facilities. If you use a single systems integrator, you can have a more consistent standardized approach from facility to facility. And you may have regional facilities, or you may have like North American facilities. You may have facilities in Europe and Asia. And this could potentially give you that ability to standardize as much as you can. Maybe it's not a perfect carbon copy everywhere, but you have enough standardization that you can share resources across your organization to help support these systems. Less training, less knowledge growth. It allows your organization to absorb it more easily. Another important role to look for in a systems integrator, and where they can give you a lot of leverage, is being able to provide that 24/7, 365 support across multiple sites. Maybe they're not your first call, but they're your second or third call once you've tried several things internal and you're really at your wit's end to get the system operational again. A systems integrator could be a huge help to be able to make that phone call and get that help when you need it. And then finally, I would say this is not a comprehensive list, but one of the key things a systems integrator is tasked to do is always stay well read and researching new technologies and trying to find out what's new, what's on the edge, what you can rely on, what's kind of risky, kind of really get a feel for the environment out there of technology. They sort of become your industry insider, and that can be a great relationship to have with a systems integrator. They're allowing you special insight into things that they've learned, things that they're hearing. Maybe it's a reciprocal. Maybe you're finding things that they don't know. So it's not that they know everything, but it's a relationship that can really be leveraged to your advantage as you consider mobile robotics in your applications. Finally, I want to talk about scaling those systems. Starting small and growing is for sure the best method. We always recommend don't bite off more than you can chew, as the old adage goes, or try things that are too aggressive. You do try to start small and grow over time, but you have to understand that scaling that doesn't mean that it's a one-for-one. So we did 3 vehicles in a system and that went great. So I'm sure we can do 30. 30 is very different than 3. And that scaling methodology has to be taken into consideration. A great systems integrator would expose this to you. They would never sell you on the idea that 30 is as easy as 3. They would let you see clearly scaling to a larger fleet size can be quite challenging. It doesn't scare you away from it. It's just go in with the right expectations. Set that expectation correctly, and you're going to succeed. Remember to scale your information systems before you scale your material handling systems. So again, information has to flow or everything doesn't work right. So make sure that your information system is capable of expanding and scaling to the level you need before you start buying a lot of hardware and putting a lot of equipment in place. Not all failures can be avoided. This is true when you're scaling from a small system to a larger system. So don't grow impatient with your teams as you're scaling, especially with mobile robots. Mobile robots have more variables than fixed automated systems have. And something could run great for a week, and then all of a sudden for 2 or 3 days, you have all kinds of issues that you have to work through. And then it runs great for a week, and then you have issues again. This is very common in mobile robot applications because there's so many external variables. It could be a temperature difference, a time of year difference. It could be, how the sun sets at certain times of year causes laser scanners to trip falsely as it's moving through certain areas of your plant. Or it could be certain times of year you have a lot of insects in the air, and the insects are flying in front of the safety scanners and tripping the vehicles. These are things that typically fixed equipment doesn't deal with. So as you're scaling, just understand that mobile systems have a lot of variables and you have to work through them patiently. Try not to grow impatient when it was great for a week. Now what's happened? Why is it so bad these last couple of days? It's working through those one by one. They will lessen over time, and you'll remove more and more variables over time, and the system will become better and more robust. But you do have to have the patience to work through those things. And I'd say finally this, when you're scaling and you're accepting this challenge, determine that you're going to succeed. Don't quit when things get rough or not really going well. This is a classic mistake that we see a lot, that people get really close to success and they give up too quickly. And that's where partnering with an expert that can help you through the tough times and help you get to the other side can be a huge advantage as you think about mobile robots in your application. And finally, I want to close before we open up with some questions is just how to stay in charge. How do you captain the ship when you could very easily feel like this is too technical for me to understand? How am I supposed to stay in charge? This systems integrator or whoever's selling me these mobile robots, they seem so knowledgeable, and I guess I'll just do whatever they tell me to do. I would very much caution against that. What you need to recognize is the relationship to be successful requires you as the business to really speak clearly and precisely to your integrator or whoever you're contracting with what you need and how your business operates. No systems integrator is going to care more about your business than you do, even those that are really good. And we pride ourselves at Bastion Solutions as really caring deeply for our customers. But we could never care about their business the way they do. They love their business. They started it for a reason. They want to nurture and grow it. So if you don't stay in charge and really stay engaged, then it's very likely that an integrator, even the ones that are best intentioned, could take you in the wrong direction. It's important that you stay in charge. Keep this in mind. If it's too complicated for you to understand, is it really going to help your business, or might it even hurt your business? This is really important to think about as you're dialoguing and you're thinking about mobile robots in your application. It is the future. I don't want to say in any way this is a negative thing, but it is challenging. And when it's challenging, you need to look for those things that you can grasp and understand and can fit in your business. If it's too complicated that you can't even grasp how it would help you, then you should stay away from it until you find something that does makes sense, you can grasp how it's going to help your business, and you understand generally how it works. You may not know all the technical pieces, but you know enough that you can understand it. Leveraging the expertise of a systems integrator. That's so important, but just make sure that they're always acknowledging that they know that they need to know your business, but you know your business better than they do. They have to have that type of relationship with you. Look for an integrator that doesn't arrogantly boss you around and tell you, well, you need to do this and do that. You need to look for someone who will listen to you and really absorb what it is you do and how you want your material to move, and they really respond to that in the right way. You're also going to need to stay in charge. You're going to, again, this is more predictive, looking ahead. Are you an CapEx type company? Are you an OpEx type company? What do you prefer? And when you go to looking for somebody to help you with mobile robots, a systems integrator, maybe it's an OEM that you're dealing directly with, consider, do they have the right kind of business to fit into what you're looking for? Are you looking to make those capital expenditures? Or do you want it to be more OpEx? Do you want robots as a service or something in the middle? Do you want some type of lease agreement? Those types of things are not everybody offers them. So that will help you narrow the type of integrator you're looking for, is knowing that about your business. Now, it might sound that I'm contradicting myself when I say listen to your systems integrator, but here we're talking about listening to their expertise and their experience to help you avoid common mistakes, not listening to them exclusively where they tell you how to run your business, but listen to them talk about the nuance of a mobile robot and their particular products that they integrate, or maybe the access points in your Wi-Fi infrastructure, or maybe it's a network managed switch issue. You know, they might have some deep technical knowledge that can really steer you away from a real bad mistake. And so there is a great value proposition. You're still in charge, but you're listening, you're taking that feedback in, and you're really letting it leverage your business towards success long term. And then finally, I know this may sound like cliche and it's kind of simple, but this is really true. Simple will beat complicated every time. Every single time, every single system we've ever put in, the more simple we can make it, the better that system ran. Now, some systems are by nature somewhat complicated, but even a complicated system should be simplified to its simplest form anytime it can be. And this is another thing I would really encourage you to stay in charge of that. Keep that vision and find an integrator that shares that vision with you. When they start getting really super complicated, well, we can connect this way, and we can do an API call here, and we can route this through this. And you're like, well, yeah, I'm sure that would work, but could we do it more simple? Could we find some more simple way? And the final thing I'd say about that is systems integrators have their methodologies. They have the things that they've learned to do well. And some of them are quite complicated and aren't as simple as they should be. So you may have to sort of resist their wanting to do something highly complex that could be done in a more simple way. But again, you know your business. Let your business and your heart and your passion for your business drive that conversation so that you can get the mobile application and scale it in a way that makes your business successful. So it's sort of kind of my pitch today. I just wanted to kind of get through our vision of what a great systems integrator can do to help you grow mobile robots in your application over time, and to continue to scale it and to take you into the future, because we do believe mobile robots are very important to the future of logistics. It's going to be a major player in the logistics world. So with that, I'm going to sort of turn it open to questions and answers. Whoever would like to.
Thanks, Michael. Great presentation.
Yep.
One thing that pops up in my mind, and I saw something from a colleague that was similar in terms of a question. Just broadly for the market, do you have a sense of the percentage of systems that are installed by system integrators versus not?
I would say that it's probably over 50%, but sometimes the OEM is a systems integrator.
Mhm.
So it's a little fuzzy to say, is it truly an independent systems integrator, or is it an OEM that is a systems integrator? Both are fine. You know, Bastion is sort of both. We were originally just completely independent integrator. We didn't really make anything or manufacture things. And over time, because of market conditions, couldn't get enough materials from various suppliers, we launched a conveyor brand. Then we launched, started building mobile robots. And those are things that sort of out of necessity came about. So I think both can be true, that you could be an OEM and a systems integrator, or you may be completely separate, independent. You don't really make things, you just integrate things. In mobile robots, I don't have a number to give you, so I hate to guess, but my vision is that there may be a lot of systems out there that are smaller, that are truly like direct from the OEM. So maybe that number of systems integrator is lower than 50%. But the idea is for the business owner who is thinking about mobile robots, consider whether that is in your best interest. Yes, you could go direct to the OEM. You could buy that device, that product direct from them. They could integrate it for you, help you learn it. But is that really where you want to go long term? Because again, that's a mobile robot is one piece of your system. What if it's interlocked with, you need some 6-axis robots? Are you going to a different supplier for those? And if, I need an ASRS, I go to a different supplier for that. And I need a VLM, I go to a different supplier for that. As you start to piecemeal this, you may find that this is really difficult to sustain good standardization in your organization. This is where a systems integrator may be able to bring all those pieces, and mobile robots are obviously intricate piece of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. I realize the complexity of these systems, that, it'd probably be rare where a company with any kind of scale would go it alone completely. There's probably just, it probably varies in terms of how much help they guess they might need in bringing in an integrator or a patchwork of contractors to do specific jobs. So anyway, I wasn't surprised to hear there was no exact answer to that question. Probably a blend that's hard to see. You talked about a variety of things that are germane to why you'd want to select an integrator. That makes sense. Maybe you could tell a story, a personal story that you've encountered that really underscores the pitfalls of going it alone and not thinking holistically about the system.
Yeah, this is actually it's pretty near and dear to the heart. Pretty easy to tell this kind of story is because we make and manufacture some autonomous vehicle products, some mobile robot products. We have had customers that we've got a deep relationship with them. We've got a long history with them. We've integrated a couple of mobile robot systems for them. And then they say, we've learned a lot from you. We think we'd like to just buy the vehicle from you. And we're just going to buy the product from you. And we're going to start kind of putting our own systems in. We don't need you anymore. And that is really our goal. As a company, I'd like that's going to help us scale, right? Is the more ownership that the owner has of the mobile robot system, the better it is for us. But we've also learned where they've jumped too quick, right? And they're in a hurry. All I need is this vehicle, and then I can do everything else. We sell them the vehicle, and then we get the phone call. Hey, your thing has a problem. It's not working right. Only to find out it's obviously how they've applied the product that's the problem. Like there's a systematic problem that they haven't really integrated it correctly. And we enjoy that opportunity to help them kind of grow to the place where they can truly become their own integrator. But if you try to leap too soon, obviously that's an example of where the systems integrator still needs to be there as your backstop. Imagine that you had never had a systems integrator and you just went out and bought a couple of mobile robots and said, hey, I got some really smart guys in my company. I'm going to give these to them. And they're going to figure out how to run them in my area. That's high risk. I mean, it might succeed. I won't say, it depends on how smart your guys are. You might succeed, but it's pretty high risk. So I would advise that a systems integrator can really help there. And we've also seen kind of the other side of it where I can give you multiple examples where we were brought in as the mobile robot supplier for a large system. So all we're supplying is this one piece. We're providing the mobile robots, or the AGVs in this case, that are going to move product from an ASRS over to a conveyor system. We're not providing the conveyor system or the ASR system. We're just providing this middle piece, this connection, if you will. And we get into this situation over and over again when we've been pulled into those applications where things start to go sideways. Something's not working. And the guy at the ASRS that controls the software there, he says, it's not us, it's that mobile robot software. That's why it's not transferring. It's not picking this up because of theirs. And it's not us. And the owner gets caught in the crossfire. Now they're like, well, who am I supposed to believe? Each of these guys talks really techy, and and they're all making a convincing story, but I don't know who to blame. I don't know who's right and who's wrong. This is really putting the owner again, or the facility, into a really tough spot to try to discern where is the real issue. Usually time will work that out, right? You will eventually figure out who it was and you'll get to the other side, but it's all the stuff in the middle that's really painful, for that owner to have to try to judge between what's going on and who is it. And then people want to throw out, well, I need a change order if you want me to fix this. And now, oh, wait, I got to pay extra for this. So it's much better when you can singularly say, I've got an integrator that's putting this system in for me. And if something goes wrong, I know who to blame. One person, one entity that I go to, and hey, you've got an issue and you need to deal with this. So for me, those are a couple of examples why that are real world that we've lived and gone through, why a systems integrator kind of really partnering with you can make all the difference.
Makes sense. The value of these systems that are being installed are huge, and people are expecting productivity and results. So I get it.
They are.
A lot in the investment, and I'm sure you've seen lots of cases where you've come in to clean up problems after the fact, and other areas where you guys have added value. That's great. One more question, if you've got a moment.
Yes.
There's a bunch of shows coming up, Logimat, and some others. What should we expect to see in terms of technical developments that might be new to this point?
Yeah, at ProMat and Logimat and all these Modex will be next year. You have all of these mobile, well, I wouldn't say just mobile, automation platform logistics type shows. And I think you're going to continue to see a trend more and more to AGVs. I remember, just empirically, I could say in 2009, walking in at ProMat in McCormick Center in Chicago. Back then it was still in January. I don't know why they picked to do it in January back then, but it was cold. But I can remember walking in, and you may have seen 5, 6, maybe AG. Had to be 50, 60, 70 people that were representing their products, their AGV products at that trade show. So just in a matter of 15 years, just a huge jump in the appetite for and the adoption of and the players that are in the space. I think you'll also see an expansion of how we're going to be continuing to use sensor fusion and different types of perception to improve the functionality of mobile robots to be a little more like human. But here's where I'd like to inject that mobile robots being human are not really on the near horizon, nor is it really practical. Humans are irreplaceable. And the Toyota mindset is not to replace all humans. It's really to put mobile robots into applications that are really not good for humans to do. Either they're kind of, awkward ergonomic positions, or they're just mundane and repetitive and just super boring. These are things we don't want people doing. They're not satisfying for them. They're not going to get a lot of life enjoyment out of it. So there's where we should target mobile robots and those types of applications. We should be thinking about how we can automate those systems and take that out. But there are some very dynamic, complex, unique things that a human on a forklift is irreplaceable to do. They're just amazing what they can do. Yeah, you have some safety risk. Yeah, all the things that we mentioned. But if you can scale the right proportion, you're still hiring people and you're still buying forklifts, and they're still doing those very unique things that are dynamic, but you don't need as many. And then these things that are mundane, the things that are really problematic, the mundane job is where people get hurt. It's where they damage stuff because they get careless and they get bored and they're just whipping around and they hit something and knock something over. These are the types of things we like to see more automation in. I think in that, back to your trade show question, I think at the trade shows, there will be perceptions like vision, more true like stereo vision. You're gonna see time of flight 3D really expand. And there are different types of approach to time of flight 3D. You've got LiDAR based, where you got multi-planes that are sort of dissecting. You got well, I don't want to mention brand names. I'll probably get in trouble for that. But you got a lot of different brands out there that are pursuing that. You have other companies that are pursuing like a LED time of flight, where they send the waveform out, they watch it distort over an object, and they can measure time of flight. And what this is really good about is, rather than just stereo cameras or something, I can really see exactly the distance I am from an object and quantify those distances. This is where I think you'll see improvements in reactions to humans, like being able to say, hey, that's a person, and I'm driving at maybe 3 meters per second, and they're going to intersect my path. I'm going to start to slow down. And like the vehicle becomes more, it almost seems intelligent, but it's just basically reacting to things that we can predict in the environment. So I think you'll see more predictive things that are vision based at these trade shows. There'll be different companies displaying that. The hard part is how to really make it robust. And I'd say that when you're at a trade show and you're watching and looking at all these really cool things, temper your expectations with a simple thought that just because something can work once and look really cool at a trade show, or maybe work in the lab 50 times in a row, doesn't mean you want it in your business. Because to work in your business, something has to work thousands of times repetitively, successfully, before it really is something you want to be in your material movement business. So when you see something at a trade show that looks like, well, that's ready to go, I should be able to buy that tomorrow, might want to be cautious with that. Maybe it is. I don't want to say that nothing would be, but be careful about getting on the bleeding edge of technology. It's better to make sure that it's robust, that it can do it over and over again, has good reliability. That way you get to a point where when you adopt it into your business, everybody can embrace it. And we'll see more and more businesses struggle with that culture shift. Like humans, if you bring in a mobile robot and it starts driving around and doing the job that I used to do on a tugger, there's going to be resentment. I'm going to resent that thing. So there's that culture piece that's going to happen. You're going to make it worse if you bring in technology ahead of its time. If you go to the bleeding edge and find the most cutting edge thing and you bring it in and it fails to keep up and be robust, you're going to basically give an argument to the team member you're trying to give them a more value added job. You don't want them to do that boring job. You want to give them something else. And they're like, well, that thing can't even do the job I used to do. So I think that's where, as we go to trade shows and we see technology, it's super good. It's really exciting. It's how the future comes to be, and I'm not naysaying it at all, but we always have to temper that. What's it going to take for that to really work in the real world, be robust, and give me a return on my investment?
Well, that makes complete sense. And again, it comes back to your point about the value of a system integrator, because you're in the best position to see what actually works over time. But technology, we got to keep driving forward and innovating. Out there was one more question that popped up.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Can you talk about specific things you can ask from a system integrator to validate their offering? And then he went on to say site views, financials, etc.
Yeah, I think that those are really good things, right? Financials, be careful with companies that may be, I would say, risky on a financial level. So you want to do business with somebody you believe will be there for you in the future. I think that would be a really painful thing to start with a systems integrator, only to find that they either quit doing it or go bankrupt in the next 3 to 4 years. So I think due diligence on the financial side is an important thing. It's really, I mean, it depends on the company. You're not going to be able to find out everything about their financials. What I would look for in that area, while it's good to dig into the financials, you can do your, Dun and Bradstreet checks and all that. Ultimately, I think you need to look for what does the history look like, and what would their customers tell me about their stability as a company. And some companies are new. They don't have a long history. That doesn't mean they're the wrong choice, but you need to make sure they get the right culture, that they're going to persevere, that they're in for the long game. They're not in to like build something, sell it off. They're going to be there for a long journey with you. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I mean, of course, you could go to bigger companies like the Toyota umbrella, and you get your Bastions, your Vanderlandes, and that are sitting under that umbrella. That gives you certainly a security blanket. So as you're looking in financials, you could go to larger companies like that. And I think also, as the question kind of veered beyond financials, I think look for culture that fits your culture. I think that's an important piece of it. Not every integrator is good or bad just in and of themselves. The question is, are they a good integrator for your culture? Do they fit with your business? And that's where I would freely admit some companies will come to us and we mutually agree we're not a great fit for each other. Where you want to go and where we're philosophically headed, kind of divergent. We're not really moving in the same direction. So it probably isn't a good idea for us to do projects together. And that doesn't mean one is right and one is wrong. It just means they don't fit together. So I would think it's important when you're looking at a systems integrator, your company culture. Does this integrator kind of fit that culture? I'll give you a couple of quick examples. Like I've kind of exposed our philosophy at Toyota is we're not interested in replacing all of your human operators. Actually, we have a vested interest not to, right? We're the world's largest producer and distributor of forklifts. So why would we want to replace all forklift drivers? But we do want to replace those jobs that are dangerous, that are monotonous. And so that's a core philosophy. If you partnered with us for automation and you said, I want to automate all my forklifts out of here, you're probably going to get some resistance on our part. Like, well, why do you want to get rid of all of them? Because there's certain things they're doing that's really unique and special that only dynamic humans can do on forklifts. Nope, I want them all out of here. Well, then probably we're not the best integrator for you. You probably should look for a company that's like, yep, we'll be glad to do that. And that doesn't make them worse than us. It makes them different than us. That's what makes the world go around, right? You got to find the things that match. And so I would never say that because somebody believes differently than we do, that they're wrong and we're right. I'm just saying this is what we've chosen to do. This is our culture. And so you look for a systems integrator, look for those that fit your culture. And I don't know, we'll give maybe 10 more examples, but I don't think that's the point. The point is know what your company's like, what you really believe in, and look for integrators that can really align with that and be similar to that.
Makes sense to me. I mean, it find the right partner, right? I mean, you have to validate the technical. That's important, but at the end of the day, you got to work and with the team, and you need service, and you need the right relationship. Makes sense to me.
I thought of another couple of red flags that you should be careful of when you're looking at a systems integrator. If they tell you they can do any and everything, that's a red flag. Not everybody's perfect and great at everything. So, try to find those that you feel are being honest with you. If they show no lack of confidence, they can, make things levitate. That's an exaggeration, obviously, but if oh yeah, I'm sure we can do that. That's probably a red flag. You need to be careful of people. That's almost like a sales pitch. Yeah, sure we can do that. Look for those that would pause when you ask them a question. And what do you want me to do? I got to connect to what? Let me think about that. I think that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that honesty and kind of thoughtfulness in all problems are not easily solved. And if they go, oh yeah, it's easy. That's a red flag. I wouldn't find an integrator confident that level of everything's easy, everything can be done. They scare me off, and I would caution you on that one. And the other thing is just overcomplicating things. Look for ones that don't talk over your head, that when they talk to you, they really want to pull you in and say, "Oh, did you not get that? Let me think of a different way to explain that." And they can take a complex problem and make it really simple to understand. Like they can put it like, I don't know, if they're explaining a TCP IP connection, like, well, when you set an IP address, it's kind of like I wrote an address on this envelope and I gave it to the US Postal Service and they took it right to the mailbox that was written on that letter. Well, that's kind of like a packet in TCP IP. I put an IP address on it and only the data that I put in that packet is going to go to that mailbox. It's not going to go anywhere. That's probably a silly example, but my point is an integrator that can help you understand it and sort of keep it layman's term and simple, take something complex and put it into livable common sense. To me, that would be a really one that I would be excited about working with. I think they could take you a long way.
Well, thank you so much. I think we can wrap it there. Thank you, Michael Markham. Really appreciate you sharing your expertise. Thank you so much.
Glad to do it. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you.